I just sort of get a sense of the land here. This is the last day of the month. It's the last day of the quarter. It's been a so-so month. It's been a so-so quarter, but it's been an off-the-charts year for all the major market averages. I don't know if you're a billionaire if you chart this sort of thing tick by tick. I seriously doubt that Mark Cuban does. He's a billionaire many times over, owns the Dallas Mavericks, which I understand is a great basketball team. But he is our special guest this first hour. We're delighted. He has a lot of things he could be doing, but he decided to spend an hour with me, which is well worth the price of admission. Mr. Cuban, good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Neil.
Thanks for coming. When you see this kind of stuff that's going on with the politics back and forth, impeachment back and forth, now I know you're not sort of like investing tick by tick, but does it concern you? There's this noise the markets probably won't like, because they have a funny way of showing that, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, over the long term, the companies are going to do stocks are going to react to the company's performance. But obviously, when there's a lot of uncertainty, then companies have to pay attention to that and plan accordingly, and that impacts the stock prices, particularly in the short term.
Now, in technology, where you made your fortune on very good timing investments and buying and selling companies at key moments, that's going to be a tougher call in this environment. Do you buy that?
It depends on the company. If you're selling equipment and you want to sell to China, you want to sell globally, and your supply chains are at risk, then yeah, it makes a big difference. If you're developing software, you have an app that's primarily in the United States, it's just noise.
Yeah. You know, you and the president have had sort of this, would I call it tempestuous relationship? I don't even know.
I wouldn't say that. Some days we're friends, some days we're not.
Right. Let me ask you, you had said a few months back, in fact, I think around the last time we chatted, that you still think odds are that he would get reelected.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that way?
I think it's changed. I think it's changed considerably. I'm not trying to handicap it, but if you would, when someone asked me 3 months, 4 months ago, I said on that day he would have won. I think now there's uncertainty, and I think you see that in how he responds to things. You know,
what do you mean by that?
He doesn't seem to have the same confidence levels that he had in the past. You know, calling the president of Ukraine. You know, if you're completely confident, there's no reason to call him and ask for a favor about a political opponent, whether or not it was a favor. There's no reason to call him.
Do you think that was a high crime or misdemeanor, an impeachable offense?
I don't know, and I'm not going to make that judgment. Right? We have politicians who like to drive themselves crazy, drive us crazy, and I don't know.
I love it when a guest says, I don't know. Yeah. I built a career on that. But, you know, the president, we have seen on defense, I was raising with Blake Berman this notion that there's a lot of agita going on over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
An Italian term for agita.
No, I know very well, yeah.
That they're nervous and they're feeling this pressure. Should they be? What makes this different than some of the other issues?
Well, I mean, look, if you're calling a foreign leader and even discussing a political opponent, that reflects something. Now, I don't know exactly what he was trying to accomplish. I don't think, you know, only he does. But why would you do it in the first place? That's the question we don't have answers to. Now, it may be just a one-off. He was curious. Right. It just happened to be something that came into his mind at the time. Or maybe it was, you know, a part of a bigger issue. Maybe he is feeling the heat. Maybe he is concerned about the election in 2020. Again, I don't know, but over time we'll find out. I guess the real question is, if he is uncertain and he's calling for, because of that uncertainty, who else did he call? I mean, your first call, if you're uncertain about an election and whether you're looking for help or not, you know, he's someone to call others and ask questions, right? He always wants to call people and get feedback.
Right.
So maybe he was just doing that, but who else is he calling?
Do you have a horse in this race yourself? You're a Democrat at your core, right?
No, far from being a Democrat. You know, if it were up to me,
you don't like the president. You didn't want him.
It's not that I don't like him, but I didn't think he was the best choice at the time.
Got it.
Right.
Did you vote for Hillary?
What's that?
Did you vote for Hillary?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But again, it was more because I didn't really like Donald Trump at the time.
Have you guys talked since all of that?
Yeah, we have, multiple times.
And what's it like?
We get along fine.
Really?
You know, we agree on some things, disagree on some things, and the things we disagree on, he doesn't bring up and I don't bring up, so we only talk about the things we agree on. But what I was going to say is, if it were up to me, I'd get rid of all political parties. You know, I think that's a big source of the agita, because everybody plays for their team. Everybody's a bandwagon fan, and we don't really get to talk about the issues. And the president, now future presidents, it's going to be more difficult for them to offer any type of leadership because we're so excited about our own team as opposed to doing what's right for the country.
When's the last time you talked to the president? You can whisper if you don't want to.
No, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Okay, so before this latest dust up with the Ukraine and all that stuff. But you do think that has changed the complexion of this debate?
It's changed the calculus of the future elections and the general debate about politics, yes.
So let me switch gears on that, Mark, if you don't mind. A lot of businessmen have been saying this is a reason why they're holding back on their capital spending plans, a reason why they're not hiring or expanding. It seems like what retailers used to say if they had a bad quarter, blame it on the rain. They never credited the sun if it was a good. So the president argues a lot of that's a little excuse making. What do you think?
Again, it depends on the company. If you have a global supply chain, you need to be paying attention. If you do business with China or would like to do business with China, you need to be paying attention. If you're, buying and selling T-shirts that are made in China or Vietnam and you have a global supply chain, you need to be selling.
Do you have any business in China yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a company that sells bikes, Guardian bikes, and they have this shortstop technology. There's one part that is exclusively made in China, and so we can't switch our supply chain. That's the only place we can get this one part. It's not like we move it to China, Vietnam, we can't move it back to the United States, and then on top of that, we're paying tariffs. Now, we've applied for waivers. We haven't heard back yet, but it's really
Who's going to decide that? If it's the president,
well,
you might not get that waiver.
Might not. Well, I've been nice to him lately.
All right.
But that's a big impact for smaller companies in particular. I mean, there's a lot of our companies.
But do you have difficulty dealing with China? So you hear that they've run roughshod over U.S. interest and all of that, and U.S. CEOs of companies that you have to practically give your firstborn to get them to do business with you. Do you share that?
Well, there's challenges to doing business in China, and there's no question about that. But you know that going in. The bigger question to me is, what's the end game? If President Xi called up and said yes to everything, President Trump, whatever you want, the answer is yes, then what happens? You can make the argument that, okay, if we completely open up China, are we just going to move more factories to China now? Because if we're going to be selling a lot more, China has a lot more people than we do. Why wouldn't, factories just move there because it's more central to a
But a lot
market?
of them throughout this, and even before President Trump came into office, have been slowly hedging their bets in the region, moving to places like Vietnam or Thailand, what have you, and that trend will likely continue. Right?
Well, it just depends on what happens. Again, if President Xi just says yes, and all those roadblocks are gone, and now that market is opened up to all American businesses. It's not like more factories are going to open in the United States. It's the exact opposite. And now all of a sudden, if President Xi says, you know what, we're going to respect all American IP. Well, it's not like companies don't do espionage. That espionage just moves to a different location, if you were, a different focus. And so I think we have to be careful what we ask for and really follow through on the consequences of what we're trying to accomplish.
Let me get your take on a separate development that's getting some headlines out of California, where they're moving to pay college athletes. Now, the NCAA does not support that move, but again, California is the incubator, I guess, for this. How do you feel about that?
A couple things. One, I think the NCAA is a mess. They're a big source of the problems. I mean, they're very bureaucratic. They don't really. Their interests aren't really aligned with all their schools. They're certainly not aligned with players' interests. But set that aside. When it comes to paying players as employees, then you have to ask yourself, what happens if they get fired? What happens if you wanted to fire them? Do we want to start firing student athletes? Oh, you're not good enough. You're going to lose your scholarship. We're going to cut your pay. Or how does relative pay work? I think I deserve more. I'm the quarterback. No, I'm the offensive lineman. I deserve more.
But you, as a team owner, as a Mavericks owner, are you more or less inclined to look at a California college athlete who might automatically come in with a higher pay request because he is getting paid a lot at the state level and the college level?
Yeah, at the NBA, there's unions. We deal with the unions, and that makes our lives a lot easier.
So it wouldn't make it more or less expensive?
No. And honestly, kids now, particularly in basketball, they've developed such followings on social medias. They're brands before they get to us. And, you look at Zion Williamson. Hasn't played a game in the NBA yet. Everybody knows who he is.
Right. Your thought on how this changes, though, if this goes national, and it's not out of the question that other states pursue it. I don't know legally if they can. Then what?
I don't know. I think my guess is, and this is only a guess, that the NCAA may implode, particularly as it applies to football. I think you may see third parties come in with a lot of money and say, you know what, this is about the cash now. You need to focus on yourself as a school and your economics as an athletic department. Let us invest in you. Extract yourself from the NCAA. We'll partner with X number of other schools, and we'll create our own organization, and we'll create our own economics, and you'll get to make more money. Because now it's about the money. We're going to be brutally honest about it. You're going to pay your athletes. You deserve to focus on this as a true business. The NCAA doesn't allow them to run it as a true business. And like I said earlier, the interests of the NCAA as an organization are not fully aligned with the economic interests of the schools or the economic interests of the players, if those are now part of the equation.